All right, I'm gonna. Do you have any of these here? I can take one home with me. I can buy one. We have to order it.
I have to order it.
I'm gonna get one. There's absolutely no reason for me to have it, but it's just like the coolest darn thing in the world.
It is.
How many times have you sent it to be recalibrated?
I'm past due for being recalibrated.
Gotcha.
Okay, if I'm looking at these numbers, 65% gloss is low. 55% on R-spec is extremely low. RIQ, reflective image quality, 87, not too bad. Haze, that's on a compensation because it's white, 1.9, a little bit high. I'm measuring this on an area that's been sanded. So if I go over here and measure it to an area that's not been sanded, those numbers should be better.
If they're not, I'll cut it out.
So I went up gloss considerably, 85. R-spec is still a little bit on the lower side. Let's see if it gets any better still. Oh, went down a little bit. But that just shows the areas of improvement. R-spec we probably want at least in the upper 80s. RIQ at least in the upper 80s. And gloss from mid 80s to low 90s, you're going to be in a good area. Typically speaking, as you bring R-spec up, gloss is going to go up accordingly. You know, this is specular reflectance. This has to do with flatness level, gloss level, everything kind of combined. But this is a number that we pay a lot of attention to. Like on my Corvette, when we did it, we had areas we started off in the 40s R-spec, we got up into the 90s. It's a massive difference, and without having something like this to quantify it, it's all just subjective.
Yeah.
Your numbers already, how much they've come up. You know, RIQ 91.3, R-spec 81.6. That's a pretty considerable difference. I'll move it down here a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, that particular spot, look how strong those numbers are already.
Right, and this is hazed. And look, our haze went from 1.9 to 0.
Yeah.
Now that was on the 1.9 was on a rough spot, but.
Yep. Yeah, and this one too, we've got haze compensation. That comes into play on real bright colors, so it doesn't give you the as good of numbers, because the bright colors and the metallics can kind of fool the machine and think there's a higher level. So we put on a compensation, so it's probably reading lower than what it really is.
Yeah.
But still, to go to those kind of numbers, you know, that quantifies what we're doing. And the reason why this is such a big change is because we did SurBuff, and the SurBuff is leveling that surface more than what a microfiber pad will do. So that'll raise those numbers up. We come back, we do our finish polishing, and that's just going to amp up that clarity that much more.
All right. So fix my work. I like this. I'll just hack it up, and then you come back and you bring your scalpel and cut it into shape.
Yep,
this is great.
Good. I'm good with that.
All right, so what we're going to be dealing with here, I'm going to carry the handheld camera around so we can really get in close. But there's a scratch that runs from here all the way across, almost to the fender. And so we're going to do our best to remove that. Now it's really visible because there's dirt in there. So what's the plan?
Well, this one I'm probably going to try first just to see what the regular compounding process does that we're using on here. I have a feeling we're going to need more than that, but I would rather try the lesser aggressive method first.
Gotcha.
If that doesn't work, then we'll step up to a SurBuff pad. Hit it a little bit heavier.
Gotcha. You can really see it on the
camera.
camera.
I'm going to move the light back over where it was before.
Shoot, that one's a gnarly one. All right, so we got some pretty yellow. These are pretty extremely directional, very warm lights. Is that by design, or just that's what they happen to be?
Just what they happen to be. They work well for identifying major defects in a small area.
Gotcha. So you're leaning on the edge, scrubbing,
Yep.
and you did half of it to kind of compare to see how it's doing? Is that
Well, I mean, it looks like we got the dirt out of it and we rolled the edges a little bit, but there's still pretty significant scratch there. Once the dirt's out, it looks a lot better.
Now, you've talked about Sir Buff and new versus old. I mean,
Yep.
are these brand spanking new?
These are not brand new. I think they've been used once before. I can usually tell by just the feel of the foam that's a little bit more dense. Right at first, you can get more direct pressure down on them.
Yeah.
Plus, after even one use, you start lose a lot of these fingers.
Yeah.
This isn't something that I would recommend to people to pull out all the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of a last resort kind of thing.
Well, a lot of guys are going to pull out sandpaper here.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things with sandpaper, you know, you might be able to, but should you be able to? My philosophy is if it's too deep to get out with regular compounding, it's too deep at that point, because then you would have to get really aggressive. Could you get that scratch out? Yeah, but at what cost? You could end up hurting UV protection that the clear coat provides by removing too much. Wouldn't be a problem. It would show up right away. Or if you're like, well, I'm not going to have this car, I don't care, let the next guy worry about it. You can, hit it heavy with sandpaper at that point and go. But I think we could at least get it reduced down to a level that would be really, really hard to see. And then when you put film over it, you're not going to be able to see it at all.
Okay, I like that. And not seeing it all apart.
Yep. So here we're using Meguiar's M100. With it, the two just team up well. Some pad polish combinations work real well, and this is one of them.
Oh, I can't wait to buy one of these things. Yeah,
It did a lot of reduction. I know that it's still there. You have to catch the light just right to see it on that little area I worked it.
yeah.
But considering right there, we probably took off 5 or 6 microns of paint or clear coat. That's when you got to ask, how far do you want to go? The knowing when to say when. So you tell me how far that you want.
I don't know.
You want to go with it. I mean,
I want you to do what you would do if it was your car.
I'd sell it and. No, I mean, I had some deeper marks. I also bought a CPO Porsche, and it had some things in it. But it's like, well, I know I can get it this far safely. Leave it at that point, and then especially knowing if I put film over it, you'll never see it with a film. And outside of crazy guys like you and me, we can get this to the point where nobody else would see it. We're going to know it's there.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself at that point, is this bad enough to drive me absolutely crazy and keep me awake at night, knowing that there's still a little remnant of it there?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'd sleep a little better if I know there's a little bit of paint there.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I feel the same way, and I try to treat customers' cars that same way. 'Cause I'm thinking about, most of what we're working on is cars that are going to be around for a long time.
Right.
So I'm always trying to do it with the thought of paint preservation, keeping that car looking good for long periods of time. It's like you work on an F40 or something. You don't just go crazy on a car like that and try to get every last little defect out of it, because the next guy might not be able to do any kind of polishing.
Right.
But yeah, I think I can work this whole area and we can significantly reduce it to be very, very hard to see. And once again, we're putting film on it. Benefit of having film, you have some defects like that, you're not going to see them.
All right.
And yes, you need to get one of these cool tools with a heavy or big time
Yeah,
air compressor. And
yeah, it's part of my life's mission.
yeah, that's much better. All right. So now it's probably time to tape this thing up and get busy polishing.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, tape time.
Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.